Good evening to our faithful and newfound audience out there. Welcome to another edition of Bring the World Home, production of the Returned Peace Corps Volunteers of Hawaii. It's a program in which each week we explore the experiences of Peace Corps volunteers and returned Peace Corps volunteers from who have served somewhere in the 132 countries around the world that Peace Corps works in. Tonight we have with us Doug Long. Doug, welcome to our program.
How are you, Chip?
And we have a little bit of an unusual situation tonight. We're actually not going to explore what you've done, which is, for our audience, Doug was a Peace Corps volunteer in Lesotho in South Africa. We're here in out in the middle of the Pacific in Hawaii, and Lesotho is the southern part of the continent of Africa, right down near the tip. And we have a very special treat. First of all, you were a volunteer in Lesotho when? On two occasions.
Two occasions. I was in Swaziland 92, 93, and in Lesotho in 2003, 2005.
Okay. And so tonight we have something special for our viewing audience. Could you tell us what that's going to be about, please?
When I was in Lesotho, I did some programs with UNDP, United Nations Development Program. And as part of that, they did a video about the herd boys of Lesotho, and explains a little bit about the culture of the herd boys in Lesotho, and also the educational challenges for addressing the education of these boys that are herding the cattle in Lesotho.
Herding,
yes.
Okay.
So this is a short film that was produced by a United Nations Development Program. I think it was released in about the end of 2003 or early 2004.
And what's the significance of herd boys or herding in? Is that the essence of the culture, or?
Yeah, it's kind of a separate little culture, a microculture of its own.
Okay.
And you'll see it within the video. It's really a well-made video, and you'll really enjoy it.
All right. Well, we thank you for bringing it down to share with our audience tonight, and let's have a look at it right now. Thank you very much, Doug.
Situated in the Maluti mountain range, Lesotho is the mountain kingdom of southern Africa. With its seasons ranging from bitter cold winters to very hot summers, Lesotho is one of the most beautiful countries in the world. However, the spectacular waterfalls and breathtaking snow-capped vistas belie the harsh realities of life in one of the poorest countries in Africa. The desperate poverty in the rural areas is forcing families to sacrifice the childhood years of their offspring as they work in ever-increasing numbers under hazardous and extreme conditions to supplement family income. Their rights to education, care, and protection are overlooked in order to meet the immediate needs of their families. Many of these children are young boys living apart from their families and communities, herding cattle in the most remote parts of the country. They are making a sacrifice that no child should have to make. These herd boys of Lesotho are growing up alone. Boys as young as 7 years old look after small herds of cattle for their families. Some are hired out by their families to look after the animals of other families. More than half of Lesotho's population of 2 million are children. Nearly 20% of school-aged boys are herding animals instead of going to school. 80% of the population live in rural areas, dependent primarily on subsistence agriculture and wage income from migrant labor. In recent years, thousands of migrant laborers, mostly minors, have been retrenched, leaving rural households without the means to provide their children with education, healthcare, and proper nutrition. During the same period, HIV/AIDS has claimed the lives of thousands of young adults and children, compounding the impact of poverty on the most vulnerable families.
In a rural setting, families are caught in a poverty trap, meaning that a family can no longer sustain itself to the point where children from that family have to be hired out to provide for one or two who are going to school.
The Basotho Nation is a blend of cultures and traditions of various tribal groups that were brought together in 1824 by the legendary Moshoeshoe I, the first king of the Basotho Nation.
Before the 1880s, with the discovery of diamond in Kimberley and later on gold in Johannesburg, herding was done largely by adults, men, certainly not children. But then with the discovery of those minerals, an increasing number of men were forced to go to the mines in the Republic of South Africa, leaving only women and children at home. And it didn't take long before that became a binding responsibility beyond any other rights of the head boy.
During the 19th century, with the arrival of European missionaries, formal education became a part of Basotho life. Soon after gaining political independence in 1966, Lesotho was established as a constitutional monarchy and joined the United Nations. Since then, Lesotho has become party to international human rights treaties, including the Convention on the Rights of the Child. These treaties oblige the government and the people of Lesotho to protect the rights of all children. The practice of young boys herding cattle undermines the commitment of the government and family to fulfill their responsibilities to protect the rights of children.
I don't quite remember the age at which I started herding animals. I do remember very clearly chasing my father's calves, and later on when I graduated to herding cattle.
Herding is fast becoming a necessity for poor children. Living in isolation in remote cattle posts, these boys are deprived of the right to a family life. A major priority is to change the perception that herding is an acceptable practice for children.
The critical issue here is a lot of the shepherds come from comparatively poorer households. A lot of people in Lesotho are poor, but they come from comparatively poor households. And they are therefore a source of income for their families, even where the parents are alive or where they are orphaned. That's the only source of income they have. If the perception is a boy has to be a shepherd, the boy will be a shepherd. And if the poor have to be shepherds, the poor will be shepherds.
Herding in most cases means growing up outside a normal family and community life and being deprived of the important time for play with their peers. These boys are at risk of developing unacceptable social behavior and unhealthy attitudes, making it difficult for them to reintegrate into society as young adult men. These children have little or no access to schooling, healthcare, or other basic social services. Because of their isolated living conditions, they do not have access to information about HIV/AIDS, information that could save their lives. Voisile is 13 years old and is out of school. He is noticeably shy around people and is unable to communicate effectively with others. He wears a pained expression on his face, and it is obvious that he has seen many difficult days in his short life. He lives alone at this cattle post. On certain days, Vuisile has nothing to cook. Ritabile Pushudi and another boy occasionally bring him food from home. Although Ritabile herds cattle full-time, he is able to return home every evening. He was forced to drop out of school because his brother was brutally murdered at the cattle post by other herd boys for allegedly stealing a sheep. Ritabile feels very sad when he thinks about his murdered brother. Are Ritabile and Vuisile also destined to the same fate? He believes that through reading he can communicate better, even with his relatives in town. Part of attaining his dream will be through getting an education. Is it still relevant for children to be out of school and herd cattle?
If you ask me, would I go back to herding? I think no. Herding can be done much, much easier than having a full-time person herd 4 or 5 cattle, or even 15. And you find sporadic herds all over the place with many, many head boys, each heading this 4 or 5. I think this really is a waste of human resources.
Not only does Vuisile spend the day watching a small herd of cattle, but also has to spend his nights alone in a remote cattle post. Where is the time he could spend learning, playing, or just being around those who could care for him and love him? After all, he is still only a child. He says that he lives on a daily basis with fear of a possible attack by thieves. They might not only steal the animals he is responsible for, but could also harm or even take away his own life.
At a time that I grew up, there were hazards related to herding, but those are nothing compared to the hazards of present-day herding. There are people now whose profession it is to steal animals, and when they do so, they do not ever think about twice about killing a child who stands in their way, or even just burning cattle posts and burning children. So the hazards of herding these days have escalated and deepened phenomenally.
The life led by this young herder is one of isolation and deprivation, to say the least. It is a violation of his right recognized under international law to grow up in a family environment. The challenge is to find ways and means to fulfill his desire, his right to go to school and be a part of his community. In a distant village where Vuisile's family lives, another herd boy named Tebuho was sent by his mother to live with his grandmother and herds her cattle full-time. Every day he prepares to go and look after animals, while his peers go to a formal school at Nazareth Primary School, not far from his home. He is also 13 years old. During the day, Tebuho takes animals to the veld, and in the evenings he attends literacy classes at a nearby learning center that is run by a local non-governmental organization called GROW.
Tebuho ke ngwanaka. Jwale o dula haeso mo ke tswalwang teng. Hobane me ka ha Tebuho sa kene sekolo. As ke sena mokgwa mo isa sekolo. Ya ba batswadi ba ka ba monka.
Ha kene sekolo. Empa itse hoba ho fihle monyetlena ya ho re koi re se re fe monyetle. Wa hore bana ba sa rutwang ba sa kene sekolo. Ibe badisana ba rutwang mantsibuya. Ke re tla bona re hlaelwa ke lesedi ho Tebuho. Oba ha ke re ke sheba ke buona hore ke ngwana bohlale thutong.
With support from UNICEF, the government, through the Lesotho Distance Learning Center and local non-governmental organizations like the Lesotho Association for Non-Formal Education, LANFE, and GROW, has established a number of learning posts throughout the most remote areas of Lesotho. At these centers, head boys can acquire basic literacy and other life skills, including life-saving information about HIV/AIDS. The learning posts are run largely by community volunteers. Mrs. Matetso Poshodi volunteers her time to teach the herd boys how to read and write and to do basic mathematics at a post supported by GROW. Her students include Ritabile and Tebuho.
Dithuto tse ke ba rutang tsona ke dipalo le Sesotho gobane ke batla go Sesotho ka ha ke puya bo gone ba se tsebe dipalo ko go tseba gona ha eba mohlomong tšhaba se sengata mona a tsebe go tšhaba sena ne se sengata bo bokana ha be a bala a ithute go bala ko go dipalo ke re ke molemong wa go tseba go bala go hlalwanya go ntho tse 10 tse 5 di kae mohlomong ha be a bala diphoofolo tsa habo a di tsebe go nna la tsona di kae.
Community-based initiatives such as the Learning Post program are a step towards eventually realizing the right to education for all the children in Lesotho without regard to their geographical location or economic status.
The
education, primary education in this country is free after a long time of poverty being prohibitive for children to come to school. Now every child is free to go to school. They are not expected to pay anything. Government is saying, let every child come to school.
Fela jwale ha ke re mmuso ke ba mo rekela dieta mmuso ke ba mo rekela uniform jwale ke hona mo ke tla thulana le bothata teng na jwale ha sa tshwane le ba bang
e hlile thuto ene ba rutwa e ke ya tshwana ka botlalo ke ya tshwana le ka mane ka sekolong ka mo ba rutwang ke mommisi e ke ya ba ntshetsa pele ho fapa o feta bana ba kena sekolo ka ntse ke na le ba kena sekolo ka
o ka mosobate o ke o sutleileng hobane ni taba phofolo hana tjena ke morao feta thuto jwale ke bona ka bophelo ba hae bo taba thata goba ha ona ma ka ba thola mesebetsi ha fela sa tsebo ba
The most difficult challenge to end this form of child labor in Lesotho is to reduce the grinding poverty in the rural areas. Government, with support from international partners, is developing a long-range strategy to meet the global goal of reducing by half the levels of poverty in Lesotho by 2015.
Kaniti ke thata wa ha ke na letho ka lapeng ha ke na le letho jwale le mesebetsi ka bileng ka be ke re mohlomong ha ene ba hona le mo nka sebetsang nka kgona hore ke bone hore na a ke nga thola tsena tse mmuso o sa di reki.
But Teboho has taken the first steps towards attaining an education through the Literacy Post program. In the lowlands of Lesotho, most families have more choices than those in the highlands. Many of the boys have an opportunity for schooling. However, they still have to herd the family's animals after school, during weekends and holidays. This is the case for Mueketsi Maina, who attends classes at Tsiriwane Primary School.
I just watch you and the teacher school. I didn't school in Jamora. I just go to school in Jana. I just go to Jana in Jaqual.
With his family's support, Mueketsi will overcome other problems experienced by children who herd part-time. Children like Mueketsi feel encouraged by the opportunity to attend formal school. But the principal of his school is concerned about the quality of their performance.
The children who come to school and herd the cattle as well have a problem in their work because they are sometimes discouraged when they had come yesterday and tomorrow they go herding. When they come the following day, they find that there are some subjects who are done during the absence. You see that their performance become low.
Muegetse takes what he has to do very seriously. Despite the part-time herding, he hopes for a better future. And he has his family and friends around him, drawing from them the support he needs in order to develop. The government and community leaders are aware that herd boys must have access to an education. The Ministry of Education is primarily responsible for providing opportunities for these boys to go to school, and in so doing address the problem of child labor.
So we organized a literacy program in our institution so that we can assist head boys to acquire literacy and numeracy skills so that they can be able to at least to have a base from which they can be taught other skills.
Tsidiso Tamai is a learning postgraduate and now the happy owner of a barber shop. As a young boy, Tsidiso had been herding for a long time, but then one day... Tsidiso feels proud that he can now read and write, and this education has empowered him to run his own small, successful business. He feels very confident about the future. With the assistance of international partners, Lesotho is committed to the elimination of herding as a form of child labor.
At the national level, we have to address this as a national issue. Leaders have to come to terms with the fact that we are facing a societal problem. We have to have a more direct interaction or intervention than some of these programs which have been put forward, for example, by UNICEF, could actually go directly to the village level. We have to see that whatever natural resource that we have, whatever human resource that we have, we have to maximize the potential. And I do believe that we're not maximizing the potential yet.
Programs like the Learning Post projects and the introduction of free primary education are bringing encouragement to the most disadvantaged children and their families. With leadership from the communities and the continued support of UNICEF, non-governmental organizations like GROW, LANFI, and the support of their families, the dreams of the herd boys will surely come true. The challenges to change social perception, create learning opportunities for all, and to reduce rural poverty are daunting but not insurmountable. Someday soon, Vuisile and the thousands of other boys in his situation will no longer grow up alone.
One day, I want to be a teacher.
Well, Doug, that was just a very interesting and informative view of the lifestyle of herding and the herd boys of Lesotho. Thank you very much for bringing that down to share with us. Anything that you'd like to add for our audience?
I just hope you enjoyed it. It really gives a unique insight into another culture. So
yes, it certainly did. Well, thank you again for joining us for a special edition of Bring the World Home, production of the Return Peace Corps Volunteers of Hawaii, produced here at the Olelo Studios in Mapunapuna, Honolulu, Hawaii. Good night to you all.
Hello.